Assalamualaikum, my name is Syakila binti Abdullah.
Salam sejahtera, and my name is Imanina Zahira binti Hazza.
Hi, my name is Nur Juliana binti Norisa. Patahau, my name is Sitina Asma binti Ahmad Saufi.
Vanakkam, my name is Ali Aisyah binti Muhammad Aziz.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Syakila binti Abdullah. What if I told you that the set of economic ideas born decades ago is shaping our world today? Today, I will present about the introduction of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism, on the other hand, advocates for a more hand-off approach, letting the ship navigate on its own. Neoliberalism is a theory of international relations that holds the international cooperation between states is feasible and sustainable, and that such cooperation can reduce conflict and competition. It emphasizes free markets, deregulation, globalization, and a reduction in government spending. It's often associated with laissez-faire economics, which advocates for minimal government interference in the economy. The intellectual architect of neoliberalism were a group of brilliant economists who challenged the conventional wisdom of their time. First of all, Friedrich Hayek, an Austrian economist who emphasized the importance of individual liberty and free markets. He argued that central planning and government intervention were inefficient and harmful to economy. First of all, Milton Friedman, an American economist who advocated for monetarism and free market capitalism. He believed that government intervention in the economy should be minimal and focus on controlling the money supply. Ludwig von Mises, an Austrian economist who was a strong advocate of laissez-faire capitalism and free markets.
To understand better about the neoliberalism theory of international relations, now let's take a look at 4 key principles of this theory. So the first key point is free market and limited government intervention. So what is the meaning of free market? So basically, the neoliberalism theory strongly supports the creation of global marketplace where the goods, services, and capital are moved freely across border. So include with the removal of tariff and quota. So on the other hand, it also advocate for minimal government intervention. So it include with the deregulation and privatization. So the example of as privatization is the Malaysia Airlines. Malaysia Airlines was partially privatized when a controlling stake, which is 32%, was sold to a private company, which is Naluri Berhad, which has led by the businessman, which is Tajuddin Ramli. I think everyone knows that by transferring the public services and assets to the private sector, it can lead to the reduced cost and enhance the service delivery, right? So the second key principle is individual liberty. So it includes we prioritize the individual freedom and choice. It means it emphasizes the personal responsibility and self-reliance over collective action. So the next principle is competition. So I think everyone knows that by increased competition, it can become a driver of economic growth and innovation. So there are several terms of competition. For example, global competition. So with that, the nation competes in order to attract foreign investment and also create jobs. And there are also other competition, for example, market competition and individual competition. We move to the last key principle, which is globalization. So it is believed that open border and international trade can benefit the economies and society. So I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi everyone, my name is Alia and I will be explaining the advantages of the neoliberalism theory of international relations. One of neoliberalism advantages is that it will promote international relations. This related with interdependence and mutual benefit. Neoliberalism encourages economic independence between nations, which can reduce the likelihood of conflicts as states becomes more reliant on each other for trade, investment, and resources. in the interdependence creates shared interests, leading states to cooperate on trade, finance, and environmental protection issues. So, in this case, WTO, which is World Trade Organization, and IMF, in the International Monetary Fund, are two key international institutions that have played a significant role in promoting neoliberal economic policies globally. So, how are these institutions linked to neoliberalism? For WTO, is the primary global body responsible for regulating international trade. It promotes free trade by reduce tariff, eliminate trade barriers, and enforce trade agreements. On the other hand, the IMF often imposes conditionalities on loans, which frequently include liberalization measures like trade liberalization and privatization. So for the second advantage is that economic interdependence reduces conflict. Neoliberalism posits that economic interdependence can significantly reduce the likelihood of conflict between states. This is rooted in the idea that countries with strong economic ties are more likely to prioritize cooperation over confrontation. Why? This is because it will increase communication and diplomacy, which means economic interdependence often necessitates regular communication and negotiate between governments to address trade disputes, investment issues, and other economic concerns. Okay? These interactions can foster trust and understanding between nations, reduce the potential for misunderstanding and miscalculations that could lead to conflict. Furthermore, economic interdependence can create a more predictable international environment, as states are more likely to adhere to agreements and norms to avoid disputing economic ties. However, it is very important to note that economic interdependence is not a guaranteed path to a peace. So, hi everyone, it's me again. Neoliberalism not only has a good side, but it also has its own negative side. So, the first disadvantage of neoliberalism is the neglect of power. Neoliberalism in international relations, while emphasizing cooperation and institution, can be criticized for neglecting the role of power dynamic. Neoliberalism often assumes a state as the primary actors, overlooking non-state actors and the power imbalances that may exist within and between the states. This can lead to a simplified view of international relations, where power is not always evenly distributed. While institutions can promote cooperation, they can also be manipulated by powerful states to serve their interests. Neoliberalism may sometimes overestimate the ability of institutions to constrain powerful actors and promote equitable outcomes. However, it's very important to note that neoliberalism is not entirely devoid of power consideration. It acknowledges the importance of relative gains and the potential for states to pursue their own interests within the international system. So, the second disadvantage of neoliberalism, with its emphasis on free markets and minimal government intervention, it can sometimes lead to a short-term perspective that prioritizes immediate economic gains over long-term sustainability. This short-term thinking can have several negative consequences, which are neoliberal policies, particularly those focused on deregulation, can encourage business to prioritize short-term profits over environmental sustainability. It can exacerbate income inequality as wealth become concentrated in the hands of a few. Deregulation of financial markets can lead to speculative bubbles and financial crises as short-term gains take precedence over long-term stability. This can make economies more vulnerable to shocks and crises. In conclusion, while neoliberalism has contributed to economic growth in some cases, its short-term focus can have significant negative consequences for both the environment and the society. That's all from me, and I will be passing this presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. So I'm Asma and I'll continue this presentation for the parts of impact the theory of neoliberalism in international relations. So I will explain and give the elaborations related on neoliberalism in the context of economic impacts. So the economic impacts under neoliberalism theory is first, energy price inflations. In the neoliberal framework, the rising of energy costs has influenced by the market forces like supply and demand dynamics. Hence, it can causes of the global inflation. Then, the global energy market is largely driven by the market actor with a minimal state control, which means that the energy prices are highly sensitive to shift in a product, supply, and geopolitical factor such as conflict energy-rich regions. Second, the cost of living crisis that happened in Europe. As we know, the neoliberal policy in Europe particularly focused on the market liberalization, privatizations, and energy market deregulations that can give impacts on the rising of the energy costs as energy price rise due to geopolitical issue or supply disruptions. As this action, the European households and the businesses need to face the rising costs that leads to the inflationary pressure and also growing cost of living crisis. Thirdly, the impact of neoliberalism in terms of economy is the central bank has increased the interest rate and during the global financial crisis. In the response to the rising of inflation, particularly from the energy price hike, from these matters, the European Central Bank has raised the interest rate. As stated in the neoliberal economic theory, support that this measure as necessary to control the inflation issue. We will continue for the second part of impact the theory of neoliberalism in the international relation. As we know, the neoliberalism has profoundly influenced by the geopolitical dynamic since its rise to the prominence in the late of 20th century. It has emphasized on the free markets, deregulation, privatization, and etc. Here are some of its key impact on the geopolitics. First is the economic globalization, which neoliberalism has facilitated the liberalizations of the trade and finance, which lead to the integrations of the global market that has been given the strengthen to the interdependence of national economies and also increase the influence of the multinational cooperation such as the World Bank, International Money, also increase the influence of the multinational monetary fund, IMF, and also the World Trade Organization, WTO, by they promoted the neoliberal policy. Second is the shift in the state power, which is the state have increasingly adopted the policy that prioritize attracting the foreign investment and maintaining the favorable condition for the global capital, which often the expense of the domestic priorities like welfare and also the labor protection. Thirdly is the geopolitical inequality, which neoliberal has reformed that lead to the wealth of disparity between the nation, which developing country often to face the pressure to adopt the structural adjustment program, which is SAP, that can lead them to social unrest and also increase the dependence on the developed economy. Lastly is the key impact under the geopolitics is the emergence of the regional bloc by the neoliberalism has fostered the creation of regional economic bloc, for example, European Union, NAFTA, ASEAN, which seek to the harmonized market and regulation while promoting the regional cooperation. These blocs can also lead to the competition and power imbalance. So that's all from the part of impacts. I'll pass for the next presenter to continue elaborate related on the impacts of theory of neoliberalism.
So, other than neoliberalism have given a serious impact to the economy and also tension to the global, neoliberalism theory is also can lead to the social inequality and social unrest. This is includes in the various of them like the wealth income, public services, and also the benefit of what society or community should have received. The principle in the neoliberalism theory, for example, like the privatization,
free trade market and also the reduction in the government spending is actually can make the different certain group of classes are more suffering and also suffering from losses. For example, like the poor group of people, or in Malaysia we call it the B40 classes. The principle in the neoliberalism theory is like the privatization is actually can make a basic service like the hospital and education expenditure more high increase. This happened because of the company or organization that has been privatized are more likely to prioritize only about the profit and making it harder for the poor people to access that. This make the poor group of people cannot enjoy the benefit or good quality of the services of what they should have received. Other than that, the reduction in the government spending and the free trade market also can give a certain losses to the people, in which, for example, like the cut in the public services by the government, such as the social aid, we have the public housing, and also the infrastructure can have the greatest impact on the poor who depends on these services. Whereas the widespread of the free market can also cause major losses to the small business because of the domination of the big market businesses that enter the country. This consequence of inequality that happen between the different classes of people brings the social aspect of the social in which when gap between the rich and the poor become big and noticeable, it can cause dissatisfaction and anger. This can lead to protest, demonstration, and also violation, and also can lead to destruction of government institutions. By that, all of the explanations, now you know how the neoliberalism have given an impact to society. Then we're gonna move to the last impact of the neoliberalism, which is soft power and diplomacy. The other impact of the neoliberalism can also be seen in the terms of diplomacy, in which the neoliberalism has a significant influence of the practice of diplomacy and change the country interactions with each other. By emphasizing economic liberalism and neo-driver policy, neoliberalism have promoted globalization, which has increased the culture exchange and interdependence among the different countries. This also has led the rise of the soft power as a tool of influence, where these countries can shape global perception through, for example, like the culture, export, education, and also the economic ties. Hence, what I'm going to say is by leveraging economic power and promoting free trade, countries can gain alliance, attract investment, and also exert the influence over other nations. That's all for the impact of neoliberalism. Stay for the next concept of the neoliberalism theory.
To wrap up the presentation, neoliberalism, a powerful economic ideology, has driven globalization, economic growth, and innovation. However, its impact has been uneven, causing social and environmental consequences. Key lessons include market imperfection, the role of the states, the social cost of economic growth, and the importance of international cooperation. It's crucial to critically assess the neoliberal policies and explore alternative economic models.